Hey, good morning. Hey, join me in John chapter 20. John 20. I've been sensing something this morning, just kind of a pattern. I got out of bed this morning, I went downstairs, and my dog looked at me like, you're an hour ahead of schedule. You're like, why are you here? And I'm like, I don't want to be. And then I noticed the clock on everybody's like, don't forget to set your clock. I've got a phone that does that for me. I don't got to worry about that. But anyways, I look at my stove clock and it's like wrong, and I'm like, okay, that's messed up. I feel like it should be 4 o'clock in the morning, but it's 5, and that's what everything else in the world's telling me. And then I look over here and my dog's all confused. We get to church this morning and apparently something's wrong with our coffee pot. The coffee maker situation, something's going wrong there, so some of you did not get caffeinated. So I figured today is a great day with all this going on to talk about doubts. Because it will make you doubt everything, right? And I know, guys, we're a little sleepy this morning. I get that. But I promise you, that hour you lost last night, you will get it back on November 6th. If you can hold out till then, guys, we can do this. There is enough caffeine in the world for now to make it, we're going to be good. But, there's a whole lot more pressing things going on right now than just whether or not we get coffee. And yes, I said that. Because here's the big thing. I don't know about you, but we're talking about being faithful anyway. This brand new series we started last week about how there are going to be tough times in this life. We're going to have hurts, we're going to have pains, we're going to have worries, we're going to have these things, but we are called to be faithful anyway. We're called to go after Jesus. As he's come after us and brought us into himself, now we're going after him, and we're called to do that relentlessly. Now, I know we got believers in this room. I know you guys are thinking, man, I'm solid, Joey. I'm a believer. Man, I show up for church. I do these things. But maybe there's some people also in this camp where the big question on the table right now is this. If I'm a Christian, why do I still struggle with doubts? If I'm a Christian, why do I wind up still wondering about things? Because I thought Christianity was supposed to end all, be all, and make it where I never have a bad day and never have a doubt and never have never was a cloudy day or whatever it is we're doing. But maybe it's not always that easy. Because in our culture today, we talk about two things. We talk about blind faith and honest doubts. Isn't it funny how faith is blind and doubts are honest? In all this game. Let me just remind you of this. Not all faith is blind and not all doubts are honest. Because we can manipulate things, right? We can come at this. The truth of the matter is our faith is not blind at its core because faith is a reasoned response to God's revelation. We're not doing this blind. We're not making things up as we go. We've got God's word, and not all doubts are honest either. We'll talk about that as we go here. But the reality is we all have doubts at times. The reality is we come into this life, we come to the Bible, and let's be honest, there are some things that are hard to understand when we read the Bible. We hit those points and we're going, what? And then we come up with all these other questions. We're like, well, wait a minute, isn't some of this moral stuff outdated? Didn't we move on from this? Haven't we had some kind of revolution or something? Didn't we move on? I heard a guy on TikTok say we did. And then there's other times that we have questions. We're just looking for more. We're looking for deeper answers. That surface faith isn't enough. We want something solid. But we're taught in churches a lot of times that if you have questions, if you have doubts, that's wrong. Don't do that. No, just have faith, increase, give more money, come to church more. We get into all this nonsense stuff. So what do? We hide it. We hide our questions. We feel like the church doesn't want to answer our questions, so then we do go to other areas, and we wind up in situations where 2/3 of teens raised in church abandon the faith when they get to college. 2/3. And again, that is not a statistic I just made up. 80% of statistics are made up on the spot. I didn't make that one up. But we're taught, don't ask, don't do anything, just coast along. Don't rock the boat. Don't do it. And so what we do, we hide it. We bury the questions. And at some point, we begin to wonder, is there a point to this thing? Is it even real? When the whole time, the answers to our questions are just right there. but we don't know where to reach. And I think Satan's done a really good job with that. Now, guys, today we're going to be talking about being faithful anyway when I have doubts. Can we be faithful anyway to God, even though we're struggling with a little bit on the inside here? I mean, and here's the thing. I cannot answer all of your questions today. All right, I'm not going to do that because we doubt in so many different ways. We come to the Bible and we doubt, is it true? You know, we doubt that. I mean, how can I trust this book over any other book of faith? I mean, what's the difference? We also maybe aren't doubting the Bible that way. Maybe we're doubting just other things. Maybe we believe it, but we're going, well, I don't know if it's going to work that way for me. Maybe we believe in God, but yet we're still going, yeah, but I don't know God's intention toward me because I'm going through something pretty hard right now, and I'm wondering, God, where are you? Maybe God's calling you to something big, and your area of doubt is to look and go, yeah, but I don't know if we can do that. I know they did, and I know they did, but I don't know if I can. God, is this really going to happen the way you say it is? So we've got all these, I mean, guys, if we looked at every area of doubt this morning, that's like scrolling through Netflix looking for something to watch. You will do that forever and never get to a point, right? So here's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to talk about how to be faithful anyway, right? Therefore, your question may not get answered. But what I want to do is talk about doubt itself. Okay, I mean, what are we talking about here? Because doubt itself, and you need to hear this, is not sinful in and of itself. Okay, I mean, we're made to doubt things. You would not believe this. I tell people this, they're like, Joey, you're making it up. No, Joey's not making it up. Talk to my family, okay? I am one of the most skeptical humans on this planet. I just am. You know, I'm a skeptical person. I hear things on the news, and I'm like, I don't know that I believe that. I hear things on the news that I like, and I still go, I don't know that I believe that. You know, I mean, that's the kind of people that I am, right? I am skeptical. But I'll tell you this, my skepticism has led me to a solid faith in God, because that's what doubt can do for you. Doubt is a segue to a greater, stronger faith. Case in point, look at Thomas. Okay, in John chapter 20, we're at this place where Thomas, you know that guy, the disciple, Jesus has appeared to the other disciples one night when Thomas didn't go to church. And Jesus has appeared to these disciples, and he says, hey, here's my hands, here's my side. Look, see, I'm risen. And they're all like, yes. The Bible says they were glad when they saw the Lord and all this. But Thomas wasn't there. So the next week, Thomas comes in. And Thomas is like, wait, no. Because you guys know the story here. Thomas is that guy. We're all going to get to heaven, and we're going to look at Thomas, and we're going to go, oh, doubting Thomas, I know you. And he's going to look at us, and he's going to go, that was one time, guys. Because here's the thing. We forget some things about Thomas. I really think Thomas gets a bum rap here, and we're going to talk about this. Because here's the reality. Just a few chapters ago in John 11, Thomas was the guy who said, well, if Jesus is going back into the land of the Jews to raise Lazarus, and they're going to kill him there, let's all go die with him. That was Thomas. This same Thomas, later tradition says, got on a cargo ship to India. This is tradition to what happened to the apostles afterward. Thomas went to India, and they speared him in the back because he wouldn't shut up about Jesus after they warned him to. So you've got a guy here that was at one point willing to die for Jesus, came to this point and doubted Jesus, but then later on did give his life for Jesus. And I think a lot of times we miss that maybe we're on that same boat too. Maybe we had those moments where we are, yes, Jesus, and then we have those other moments where we're going, yeah, maybe, I don't know. And then we have another moment where we're going, yes, Jesus. How can we navigate and handle these doubts in the right way? You know, I don't want to read too much into this, but it's interesting in verse 24 that Thomas is called the twin. You know, do you know why they called him the twin? Because he had a twin. Okay, so yeah, just give you that. But I don't want to read too much into it, but it's interesting that he's called the twin, and in this passage he represents both doubt and faith. Because he has this roller coaster ride here that ends with him being secure and solid in a faith, crying out, my Lord and my God, to Jesus. How did he navigate this? You know, how did he do this? Let's look at that today. And this is why I said I can't answer all your questions today. This is what we are going to do. We're going to see how to handle our doubts in a way that actually lets us be faithful anyway. Yeah, we're going to look at Thomas' story here. We're going to see 3 ways to handle our doubts that's going to make us faithful to God anyway. Because our questions that we have should not stop us. Questions should not halt us. Questions should propel us forward in our faith. So the real question here is, how can we actually navigate these things, these questions, these doubts? Because we've all had them. We'll all have more tomorrow, right? Why? Because it's Monday. But they're coming. How do we navigate these things? And I'm not telling you that every single doubt you're ever going to have is going to be answered, that all the questions are going to go away. But I do want to equip you to take these doubts, take these questions, and use them in a way that will propel you forward in your faith and teach you to be faithful anyway, right? So number one, let's dive in. Number one, clarify your doubts. Clarify your doubts. You ever talk to somebody? I get to talk to a lot of people, and like, well, I just don't believe that, or I doubt that. And you're like, why? And they're like, well, I just do. You know, we get into this sort of thing. Let's talk first about what we mean when we say doubt anyway, right? Doubt is not the opposite of faith. Unbelief is the opposite of faith. And doubt and unbelief are two very different things. Doubt asks questions. Unbelief has rejected. Does that make sense? If I'm doubting, it means in biblical terms, it's like, I don't know, maybe let's investigate this. That's doubt. Unbelief is, I reject that. I just flat don't want it. Get it out of here. You know, it's like Brussels sprouts. We're out, right? I mean, that's what that is. So when we're talking this morning, we are talking doubts. We're talking those questions that we have. And there's still a right and a wrong way to doubt. I love that person that comes to Jesus. His son is sick, and he's asking Jesus for help. And Jesus goes, do you believe? You know, all things are possible to those who believe. And the guy looks at Jesus, and his answer is very telling. He looks at Jesus, this is somewhere around John 9 or so, and he goes, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. Right? You remember that guy? Help my unbelief. In other words, that's in Mark chapter 9. I didn't just remember, I saw it on my notes. It's in Mark chapter 9. But the idea is, this guy didn't have all that he needed, but he trusted Jesus. He said, I'm giving this to you, Jesus. Help my unbelief. And that's what we're talking about here. Jesus met him where he was, right? So let's look at Thomas here, verse 24, okay? John 20, verse 24. Now Thomas, one of the 12, called the twin, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, we've seen the Lord. Okay, cool. But he said to them, unless I see in his hands the mark of the nails, and place my finger into the mark of the nails, and place my hand in his side, I will never believe. Having a doubt. Having a moment. What's going on with Thomas? Well, what's going on with you? Yeah, what's going on with me sometimes? When we say clarify the doubt, we need to understand exactly what it is we're doubting, exactly what it is that we're looking for, or else we're going to be just bopping off of everything out here. Here's the way you do this. I'll give you 3 questions to help you clarify your doubts. Number 1, ask, what am I doubting? Okay, what am I doubting, right? I mean, what are you doubting your salvation? Are you doubting whether the Bible is reliable? Are you trying to reconcile evolution and creationism, or evolution in the Bible? Notice I did not say science in the Bible, because science and the Bible do not conflict with each other. Evolution is not science. It is taxpayer-funded religion. Okay? But you get me? What exactly are we doubting? Am I doubting that God loves me? Am I doubting that God will forgive me? Am I doubting that, you get down into these base levels. What exactly is it that I'm looking for? Thomas gives us something here. He says, I can't believe that until I have seen, right? So ask yourself this, what exactly is it that I'm doubting? When you say, well, I just doubt it all. Well, that's not good enough, and that's not anything. What are you doubting? Pull it down. Do I doubt that God is loving me? Do I doubt that God sees me? Do I doubt that God... You see what I'm talking about here? Get it to that point. What am I doubting? Once you've got that, ask the second question, why am I doubting? Why am I doubting? Why would you doubt whether or not God loves you? Why would you doubt whether or not the Bible can be believed? Is it because of influences coming into your life? Is it because of, well, the reason I doubt that is because I am hearing this over here. The reason I'm doubting is I just need more information. I mean, the reason I doubt whether God loves me or not is because I know my sin. The reason I'm doubting whether or not God really created is I'm seeing a lot of messed up stuff in this world, and I'm wondering, where is God in all this, right? The next step is you go down to that, why am I doubting this? You need to understand this, because that leads us to a third question. What am I looking for? What am I looking for? See, it's very important to clarify what am I doubting and why am I doubting it. Because if you don't know those two things, you're going to be like you two, and you will still never find what you're looking for. What are we looking for? You see, Thomas is not into excuses here. He's giving an actual standard by which he will accept truth. You know, I talk to so many people who, in their doubts, they're not really looking for truth. They just want to be confirmed in their doubts. They just want to step back and say, yeah, you can't answer that, and you move on. Yeah, they just want to be there. Thomas isn't there. He's giving a standard by which he will believe. He's saying, if I could see Jesus, if I could put my fingers there, and if I could touch, and if I could just be there, I'd be with you guys on this. You see, Thomas is wanting the clarity that the other believers have. In fact, we look at Thomas, like I said, we're like, yeah, he's a doubter. You know what? He is only asking, catch this, he is only asking for the same thing the other disciples got last week. They got to see Jesus. They got to touch him. They got to see the prints in the hands and everything. He's only asking for the same thing. Because see, now when you begin to clarify, what are you looking for? Because I've talked to so many people who say, well, I just doubt that God loves me. And the whole thing boiled back is they wanted his forgiveness, but they also wanted to hold sin. What am I looking for? Freedom or forgiveness? What am I looking for? Understanding or an excuse? Because these things will roll backwards and forwards, man. You start going, well, I'm doubting this because of this, and I'm looking for this because of this. And they all think, Joey, you're blowing my mind. I do that. But when we begin to clarify what it is that our doubts really are and what it's going to take, you know, situations, sins, challenges, grief, all these things are reasons why we doubt. They will make us doubt ourselves. They will make us doubt God. Especially if you are a firm believer and you're going through a tough time, it's very easy to go, God, where are you? You must not be real. It's funny how we always go to that extreme in our doubts. You know? I'll tell you guys something. They messed up my hamburger at Sonic the other day. You say, Joey, you've used this one before. Nope, this is a new time. So since they didn't behave the way I wanted them to, I have calculated and concluded Sonic is not real. They just don't exist. But you see, when we begin to clarify exactly what it is it going to take for you to believe? And why is what God has already given not enough? That's what we got to get to in our doubts. And that's what I mean by clarify those doubts. What exactly is it that we're looking for here? And when you have clarified your doubts, you're ready for part two. Once you've clarified that, ask two how to handle your doubts. Use your doubt to fuel your faith. Use your doubt to fuel your faith. I want to challenge you on this to rethink doubting a little bit. Because the reality is sometimes when we are facing a doubt or a crisis or an inadequacy within us, it is God actually starting a conversation with you to grow you into a deeper faith. All right, what do we need? We got to deal with doubts, guys. Like we say, we've now clarified what it is we're exactly doubting. We know what I'm doubting, why I'm doubting it, what I need to be looking for here. Now we go to Jesus. And they say, Joey, it's not just that easy to run there. Have you ever thought about we put faith in everything? What you read on a menu. You put faith in the fact they're actually going to bring this. And if you think it's going to look like the picture, you know, I eat at restaurants where they put pictures on the menu. But at some point, we've got to make a latch onto what we're going to believe. You can't stare in the refrigerator. You just eventually, you got to either grab something or close the door, right? Our doubts are the same way. Someone's once said that doubting is like hitchhiking in two different directions. Yeah, we want to go this way, but we kind of want to go this way. We kind of want to go this way. And the Bible says a double-minded man's not going to get anything from God. Eventually, we have to connect. So these doubts that we have to use them to propel our faith forward, to be faithful anyway. So what does Thomas do? Okay, let's go back and look at Thomas here. And as we do this, we're going to look at how to let this doubt fuel the faith, right? How do we do this? Number one, show up. Show up anyway, right? I've got doubts, I've got concerns, I'm just kind of frustrated right now, Joey. Show up anyway. Look at verse 26. 8 days later, right? They went and they told Thomas, hey, dude, we saw Jesus and all this. And he's like, look, I just flat don't believe that. Nope. But look what Thomas does. His disciples were inside again, and Thomas was with them. Thomas went to church anyway. Thomas was struggling to believe, but he went anyway. Thomas had already said, I got to see this for myself or I'm not going to believe it. So what does he do? He puts himself in a position to get the answer. You've got to do that too. A lot of times we run to things that God has called foolishness to try to answer our questions about God. Why do we do that? You know, that's like me going and talking to a philosopher about how to fix the motor in my car. I'm not going to do that. He'll tell me all the stuff that's wrong with it, but he can't fix it. Why do we do? So what I'm telling you to do is the first step in using your doubt to actually fuel your faith is show up anyway. Pray anyway. Raise your hand in worship anyway. Serve anyway. Why? Joey, I'm faking it. No, you're not. You're being faithful. You're being faithful. And the pattern throughout Scripture is God rewards faithfulness with more faith. Right? Secondly, after you're showing up, challenge your unbelief. Challenge your unbelief. Tim Keller puts it this way, doubt your doubts. Doubt your doubts. Why do we live by doubt and not by faith as believers? Why do we let this one little challenge that comes in mess us up? This goes back to that question we asked earlier about why am I doubting? You know, challenge that. Why wouldn't God forgive me? Why do I, alone in humanity, stand outside of His grace and mercy? You know, why would God allow this challenge into my life? Because what does His Word say? He intends to use it. You see what I'm talking about here? Challenge those areas of unbelief. One of the first things a child learns how to ask, first question out of every kid's mouth is what, parents? Why? I was warned of this question. Why? Why? And I was ready for it. Man, my kids come to me and they're like, Daddy, and I'm explaining some great concept to them, like how you cannot run through a solid object. And I've got this, and they're here, they're ready, and here comes, why? I'm ready. Parents here, would-be parents, future parents, whatever. Here's the answer. Look them straight in their little eyes. Don't balk on this. Okay, you've got to be strong here. You look at them and you say, why not? And they're like, I don't know. And they go on about their business. Ask your doubt, why not? Why not? Why can't that be true? And then begin an honest investigation. I'm not telling you to negate that, but I'm simply saying, William Lane Craig, who is a Christian philosopher, don't agree with everything he says, but I like this. He remarks that most people make up their minds about belief or unbelief primarily on the basis of emotional factors, not intellectual ones. And you'll find that to be true. When you're doubting God, when you're doubting the Bible, most of the time it's going to be because you either need more info, get back to that why, or you simply don't like what you're reading. You simply don't like it. And so we feel emotionally this can't be right, so we just dismiss it. We feel emotionally, I know that's going to make me uncomfortable. Have you ever thought about people, guys? We can never be comfortable. We're like, oh, I hope it snows. And like 3 Thursdays later, we're tired of it. Humans are never comfortable, are we? And I promise you this, when you begin to lean on your truth and you begin to fall back on what you already understand and your mind and your whatever, I promise you, isn't it interesting that your truth always caters to what you wanted to do anyway? When if we understand that the Bible is truly God's Word, it will fly in the face of every single one of us at times because it's written by an almighty creator. And that's why you got to get to this other one here. After you show up anyway, challenge those unbeliefs, you engage Jesus on His terms. Engage Jesus on His terms. Look what happens next. Okay, Thomas is in here, and although the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." And then He said to Thomas, I love this. Thomas didn't jump up and run over here. It's almost like Jesus, doors are shut. He beams in. Yeah, Jesus is here, and He's like, "Peace be with you guys." Thomas, Jesus still sees you in your doubts. He's still calling you in your doubts. But here's what he's calling you to do. He says, come here, Thomas. Put your finger here. See my hands. Put out your hand. Place it in my side. And do not disbelieve, but believe. Some people think God is playing a hide-and-seek game with us. If he's playing hide-and-seek with us, he's not very good at it. That would be the one thing God isn't good at, because he gave us a map to him. He put an X, more like a cross, on the map to show where I am. He said, everything about me in Colossians 1 is revealed in and through the man Christ Jesus. God himself spoke, if you're going to know me and you're going to understand me, it is going to be in and through and by Jesus Christ. That's where you look. I love how Thomas here, notice this, Thomas has a legitimate question. All he wants to do is see the same thing that other disciples did. But his honest doubts, right? His honest little doubt there did not grant him any special or additional or anything from God. He still had to go through Jesus. We've got to understand that. We must know him through Jesus. Or as Jesus said in the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, remember when Lazarus went to paradise, the rich man went to hell, and the rich man's like, well, you got to send Lazarus back to my brothers so they don't have to come to this horrible place. And what was Abraham's answer? Bible scholars, his answer was this: they got Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. Because God has revealed everything we need, but you must come to him on his terms. A friend of mine put on his Facebook post, so I got to give him credit for it or else I'll get plagiarizing or whatever. But a friend of mine, Adam Wyatt, I love this, put on his Facebook this week, don't make life decisions based on 30-second TikTok videos. The parameter he gives to us is Jesus to know him. You know, that's the parameter. And people want to go out in other areas and do these other things and seek truth out over here when Jesus says, I am the way and the truth and the life. You've got to engage him on his terms, not yours. He doesn't jump hoops for people. He is God Almighty. And we come to him at his invitation to know me. Fourth is don't give it up, right? Don't give up. Apply it. Keep going. Keep showing up. Keep challenging your doubts. Keep engaging Jesus on his terms. Keep rolling that. And I promise you, doubts will either resolve or they're not going to be such a big deal anymore, the things you don't understand. Why? Because we're engaging Jesus. And we're using those doubts to propel us forward in our faith because we're seeing more of who Jesus is as we accept. And we're seeing how empty a lot of our doubts really actually are. Right? So we're going to clarify our doubts. We're going to use those doubts to fuel faith. And lastly, I don't want to do this one. Can we just stop? No? Okay. This one frustrates me. I'm not going to lie. This one is where I'm going, but I did ya. My spiritual gift is teaching. And this is my thing where I can't do it. Because the third way to handle your doubts is you've got to accept that some things are unrevealed. You've got to accept the fact that some things are unrevealed. What do I mean? I mean God is God and you are not. That's what I mean. Look down at verse 29. Jesus says to Thomas, have you believed because you've seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. Who have not seen. Now, in the immediate text, he's talking about those who are going to believe on him through the word. We haven't seen Jesus yet, we believe. But it's also a reminder that sometimes God intends our faith to work that way. That we're not going to see it all. We are not going to know it all. And some of our questions, this is why we have to learn how to be faithful anyway, even when we do have doubts, because some of your doubts, some of your questions are not going to be resolved. In fact, let me give you two very uncomfortable truths here. Number one, you are not going to get every answer you like. You're not going to get every answer you like. What do I mean? God never answered Job's question in the book of Job. You ever notice that? Key question in life, and God never answered it. When Peter, in just the next chapter here, in John, Peter's going to go to Jesus, and Jesus is going to tell Peter, hey man, this is what your future holds. And he's going to say, what about John? And Jesus is going to go, yeah, that's none of your business. That's for him. And then in Acts chapter 1, as Jesus is ascending back to heaven, the disciples are like, are you going to restore the kingdom now? And Jesus flat tells them, yeah, don't worry about it. He said, that is not given for you to know that. So you're not going to get an answer to every question you've got, because God doesn't do that, right? Secondly, you are not going to like every answer you get. There are going to be some answers that you just don't like. Well, wait a minute, Joey. The Bible's moral code seems a little outdated. It's not an outdated moral code. God's moral code is kingdom law. He says, if you're going to follow me, this is what you do. And there are going to be times, people say, well, people are still going to be born, and people are still going to be this, and God will still call every single one of us to repent. There are some answers we're not going to like. There are some answers that are going to be uncomfortable at times. There's some answers that we're just going to flat go, yeah, that is way uncomfortable. My go-to, you've heard it for the last few weeks, but it's still my go-to, do all things without murmuring and complaining. Why'd God have to say that? But you see what I'm saying. How do we navigate that? Well, we go back to what the Bible's purpose actually is. Because I've talked to so many people who don't know the Bible's actual purpose. The Bible is not here to clarify all mystery. The Bible is not here to show us every little jot and tittle and every little thing of all of our lives and yada yada. What's the Bible here for? Look at verse 30. Now Jesus did many other signs in the presence of the disciples, which are not written in this book. In other words, none ya. Gen X. Verse 31, but these things are written, so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. The Bible isn't here to point out faith to a system. It is here to generate faith in a Savior, which is revealed all about Jesus. And what he's telling us here is, yeah, you're going to have doubts, you're going to have questions, you're going to have that stuff. But the fact that the purpose of the Word of God is to bring us to a Savior, and he says that because of this, because of things that are written, you may believe on him. That means we have enough here to be without excuse if we reject Christ. You need to understand that. There's some things just aren't going to get answered. But it's why David in the Psalms was able to, some of those Psalms you read where David wrote, he's constantly going, God, where are you? This is a horrible situation. God, have you abandoned me? God, whatever. But then by the end of the Psalm, he's crying out, but I still trust in you. That's a powerful faith. That's a powerful faith. That's how you handle doubt. That's how you handle it. You clarify it. You use that doubt to propel your faith. And you just accept that some things are not going to be revealed. Because he's God, we're not, right? But it's also Thomas here who gives us that great phrase, my Lord and my God. In the original language, he's actually saying, my Lord and my Yahweh. He's calling him God. And the discovery of all this truth comes through Jesus, how he looked at Christ. So I just want to ask you today, is your faith struggling? Are you having these doubts? Are you nagged by something? This is how you get out of this. It's how you navigate and be faithful anyway, because the faith can be strong in you again. You're not so far gone. The invitation is still here. So I want to close out today by saying, how do we overcome this doubt, finally, to soar forward in our faith? I'll give you 4 tips. Number 1, ask your questions. Ask your questions. Do not ignore them, but go to the right spot to get the answer, right? Go to somebody who knows, not to somebody who's simply going to agree with you, right? I mean, I could figure out, I could do a whole survey right now on why cats are the most evil thing on the planet if I only go to people who hate cats, right? But if I'm going to do an honest assessment, I'm going to go to other people as well who do love their cats, and we're going to have this big thing. You've got to, if you're trying to figure something out, you got to go to the source. Ask your questions, but ask them where they go, right? In a way that's going to get you closer to Jesus. Number 2 is to accept your limitations. Accept your limitations. I love in 1 Corinthians, where Paul's writing to these Corinthians, and he goes, think about your calling, my brothers. Not many of you were wise. Not many of you were skilled. And they're going, thanks, Paul. Guys, we don't know it all. We can't handle it all. You know, we don't get it all, right? I love Psalm 131, verse 1 and 2. The psalmist cries out, "My heart's not proud, Lord. My eyes are not haughty. I don't concern myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me, but I've calmed and quieted myself. I'm like a weaned child with its mother. Like a weaned child, I am content." You don't throw out math because you get to algebra and don't understand it. You get to algebra, they start mixing the letters in, and you're like, well, math's not real. You hit things you don't understand, you accept your limits, So accept your limitations. We're not going to get it all. Number 3, though, be committed and commit to what you do understand. Commit to what you do understand. Faithfulness is not understanding it all. Faithfulness is being committed to what you do know. Committed to what you do get. And you lock in there and you be faithful and let God grow the rest of it. But you got to come to point 4 there and be teachable. You got to be teachable. Christianity is a process. It's a journey. Man, we're going to have our ups. We're going to have our downs. But the way to overcome it all is to be faithful anyway. Be teachable. I love what Thomas did here. They taught him. They said, hey, man, Jesus is up. And he goes, I don't know, maybe, I tell you what, let's come next week. We'll talk about it more. And that's where Jesus shows up. Be teachable. Be teachable in this great faith, Wrap it up with a story here, just kind of illustrate how doubts can either make or break us. But Sir Isaac Newton once postulated, right? Once postulated, because that's what Isaac Newton did. He postulated. And he figured that man would one day be able to travel all across the globe. Wow. Voltaire, the French skeptic, called him a doddering idiot. Why? He says because for people to do that, they'd have to travel at speeds at least 40 to 60 miles per hour. And everybody knows your heart will fail if you do that. That's what happens when you work on limited knowledge. Don't work on limited knowledge. Come to Jesus and let him increase that knowledge. But it is going to be limited, like I said, but the reality is there is more if you continue. Voltaire also said within 100 years of his death that the Bible would be in museums and nobody would talk about it anymore. It's done. After he died, the European Bible Society bought his house. Printed Bibles from there, still do today. My point there is, guys, we're on a big, long journey and we don't get it all. We don't understand everything we're called to do. We don't understand every step of this journey. And there are going to be those hard moments, but I promise you, you can be faithful anyway, even when you have doubts. Just let those doubts propel you, not crush you. Let me pray for us. Father, I thank you so much for this opportunity you give to us to come together. And God, we know we wonder sometimes. God, we see the whole world around us and we wonder, are we in the right spot sometimes? Sometimes we wonder where you've gone. But Jesus, in those moments, we understand and, Father, have experienced that you draw us further in our walk with you in those times. You reveal more of yourself to us in those times. Father, there is a sweetness in your perceived absence sometimes because it causes us to seek you out. And we find you. And we're stronger because of it. And Father, maybe there's somebody in this place today that went the other direction. Father, maybe they tried to run away. Maybe they got in the wrong influences and they've gone out after the world. But Father, today you call them back in Jesus because the invitation's open for you. Father, to bring them back. God, teach us to ask those questions. Teach us to seek you out. And Father, call us to be faithful anyway as we await you to reveal yourself. Because we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.